Fresh seafood, whether you catch it yourself or buy it from the dock, is one of the great benefits of the cruising life. But if you aren't familiar with processing and storing fish, will it go bad before you can eat it? Hi, I'm Nico Waters, and on this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, I'm sharing Carolyn's best tips on how to store fresh seafood on your cruising boat. I might have a couple of my own to throw in there too. Today's episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Lunatech, makers of the hydration spray bottle, odor-free dishcloth, and self-cleaning washcloth. Lunatech offers practical gear designed to save water and reduce waste. A water bottle that doubles as a garden hose, a dishcloth that doesn't get stinky. Yes, please. Visit lunatechgear.com to learn more. Use code BOATGALLEY to save 10% on everything. Lunatech, innovative gear for your outdoor adventures. Storing seafood. If you already fish a lot or live on the coast where seafood is abundant, you're going to laugh at anyone that needs to be told this. But Carolyn and Dave are from the Midwest, and they didn't know anything about seafood when they began cruising. Jeremy and I have cruised for a while, and Jeremy grew up on the Med. He still needed a few little details like this. But luckily, some other cruisers and local fishermen took pity on Carolyn and Dave and taught Dave how to fillet a fish, and Carolyn how to freeze the fillets and cook them. So if you don't have a background that includes a whole lot of seafood, listen on. Any seafood must be cleaned before it goes in the refrigerator or freezer. And unless it's something you're keeping alive, like clams or fish in a live well, or lobsters if you're in Maine, the sooner you clean it after catching it, the better it will be. Unless you're going to eat the seafood that same day, it's better to freeze it unless your refrigerator can hold a temperature of 40 degrees or less. And if you refrigerate it, be sure to put it in the coldest area of your fridge, low and near the chill plates. Even if your refrigerator will hold a temperature below 40 degrees, the FDA recommends freezing any seafood that you're not going to eat in 2 days. So don't try to keep that fish in the fridge for a week. To freeze seafood once it's been cleaned, first of all, you want to use towels or paper towels and pat it dry. The drier you get it, the better, because the less ice that forms, the better the texture will be when it's thawed again. And then you want to vacuum seal it or put it in a Ziploc freezer bag and get as much air out of the bag as possible. It's often easy just to put portion size or meal size amounts into one bag, because if you put too much fish, like more than you would need in one meal, into a bag, you're then stuck with the idea of, I've thawed all of this fish and I just need to use a little bit of it. Be sure to label the bag with a Sharpie with what it is, when you froze it, and how many portions you think it's roughly going to be. Things that have sharp spines, like Caribbean lobster tails with the shells on, they need to be double bagged in either those vacuum bags or Ziplocs to try to protect the contents against holes in the bag and freezer burn. The faster the seafood freezes, the better it will be. Instead of just putting it on top of all the other things in your freezer, it's a great idea to take some of the already frozen food out, put the new items in the middle, and then put the frozen food back on top. When you're ready to use the seafood, let it thaw in the bag, and then immediately before cooking it, you take it out of the bag and pat it dry again before putting it into the oven or the frying pan or whatever it is before you cook it. I can't wait to share an Anchorage with you, and maybe we're sharing the fresh fish that we've caught or the stuff that we've managed to store for a while using these incredible tips from this awesome podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley Podcast. We love hearing from our listeners. We love it when you don't forget to subscribe, and we love it when you leave a review for us on wherever it is that you get your podcast, because it really does help other people find us. Have the most spectacular week.